Hello everyone and welcome to Crafts by the Bow. This weekend I had my open house and we were using some of the new designer paper, the Santa's Workshop paper. I don't have the stamps or the dies, but I did buy the paper and it's absolutely gorgeous. Some of the pieces are they've all got a design on the back and a design on the front. And some of the pieces have flocking on as well, like feels like velvet. It's a bit like the wallpaper that we used to have in England that people put over their chimney breast walls and things that had this beautiful velvety touch. This is what we were actually making at the open house, and I just used a little bit of the red and white, and the inside of this was bows. I'm not sure if you can see. Had bows on, but this is flocked, the white piece is flocked. And so today I thought I'd make one of my cards ready for Christmas. And a long time ago I made a curtain fold card, and I thought, right, I'll make one for Christmas and I'll use this paper. So the first one I cut out was these little mischievous elves on here. And each of these pattern rows is 1 inch, and I knew I needed 4 inches, so this works perfectly. You're not cutting part of a design off or anything. And here's the piece that I cut. Let me move those. Here's the piece that I cut, ready for my curtain fold. And I cut it and I scored it all the way down, and then where's my little piece that goes with it? Then I realised I could use this piece inside, and I didn't want the score lines. So I'm going to show you on this card how to cut it and not have score lines on this piece, so that you can probably, line it up inside, trim the edges and use that as a little piece for the inside of the card. So let's get started and I'll tell you the sizes of card and everything that you need. I'm using Tranquil Tide, and I've cut my piece of card. It's 11.5 long by 4.25. And most people who watch me regularly will know that if I cut it this way, it's going to be a landscape card, and I like my landscape cards to bend that way, rather than bending from the top, because then they tend to splay out a little bit after a while on the mantelpiece. So this is our base. You can use any of the colours that are in the paper, but I just liked the Tranquil Tide because I thought it went nicely with the paper I'd chosen. Okay, you will also need a piece of white card cut at 4 by 5.25 for the inside. Oops, just to go here. Okay, and we'll do the decoration in there later. I looked at the papers, and as you know, I'd already picked this one and cut a piece, but then I fell in love with this little snowman. So this is the piece we're going to use this time. And I've cut my first piece. I think I cut it from the top. Yeah, I cut it from the top because I wanted this little snowman here to be on the left-hand side of my card and a little bit more visible. So it's cut at 4 inches, and then I just cut 1 strip off, and then this is a 1/2 inch strip that I took off the edge. And you can save that bit because you could put that on the inside of your card for a decoration. So let me show you what you do with this once you have it cut. You're going to need your trimmer and a scoreboard. I tend to use mine on the trimmer, but I do have the 12 by 12 scoreboard as well, but I just find it easier to do it on here. So with your 11.5 inch piece across the top, we're going to score this at 3. Okay, now because it's paper, it's not as durable as card, so don't press too hard with your scorer, but make sure you can see where that line is. I'm not sure you can see it until I bend it there. There we go. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to line up the bottom of that score line on our trimmer track, and the top of our score line, the top of our card, will be at 1.5. So we need to have Let me just move it down a little bit so I know you can see. This top corner is going to be at 1.5 on the trimmer, and then our score line is going to be on the trimmer track at 3. And then pop that down and we're going to cut. Now this way, this piece doesn't have any score lines in, but we do have some more scoring to do on this. So we've already scored it at 3. Now we're going to score it at 4 and at 6 and at 7 and at 9 and at 10. There we go. Okay, and that's all we need the scorer for at the moment. And then we're going to fold this sort of concertina style. So I'm going to fold the first one over. Make sure it lines up at the top, because otherwise when you put it on your card it won't be quite straight. So I'm going to fold it over to the left and then back to the right. Over to the left, making sure it's straight, back to the right. Oh, I can't see where that score is. There it is. And then over to the left. There we go. Oh, I think I've missed one out. Let me just see. I did one at 3, one at 4, one at 6, 7. Oh, I can't see that one. Just let me go back. Go back with the trimmer and the scorer. So I've got one at 3 there, one at 4, then one at 6 here. That's the one I couldn't see. Let me fold it while I can see it now. There we go. And one at 7. I didn't do those very deeply. They're just a bit tricky to see. When it's not a cardstock, I'm always worried that the paper will cut when I fold it then. There we go, that's better. And then this is going to fit on the front of our card, just like this. And there'll be a little tiny gap at the top and a little one at the bottom, but not so much at the sides. And to get this to stay down a little bit, I'm just going to use my liquid glue, my Tombow. And on the 1-inch sides, I'm just going to put a little bit of the glue just to keep it stuck down when it comes out. There we go. Now I know some people glue it all the way down, but I like it to sort of stick off the card a little bit as well. There we go. So let's fold that one. Hold it, and then I'm going to put a little bit on the back. Oh, can't get the lid off the glue. There we go. Fold it down and hold it. This one's already got glue on, so I'm going to fold that down. I'm going to put a little bit on the inside. This one's already got glue on. Put a little bit on the inside. Like that. I'm going to turn it over. Just fold it again, just press it down and make sure it's all stuck together. There we go. There we are. And like I was saying, some people will glue it all the way down, but I actually like this just to stand off a tiny bit. And then I'm going to use some of our Christmas ribbon that we have. And this ribbon, it's the real red ribbon. And I'm not sure if you can see. It's quite tricky to see unless you're in the right light. The top half is plain and the bottom half has very subtle stripes in. Same on the back. It just makes a nice way to catch the light when the bow's tied. It catches the light differently. And what we're going to do is we're just going to wrap this round here, and I'm not tying a bow, I'm only going to tie a knot. So let's that off. So I don't need too much ribbon. Let me see, I'm just going to move it so that the knot's over here. That's maybe too small. Let me just get another piece. Maybe I should measure it, see. Oh, let's go for 16 inches. That was 14 and a half. I don't know why I don't always measure ribbon. It'd make my life so much easier. Okay. So let's move it along a bit because I want the knot to be over this left-hand side. There we go. You can tie ribbon into the bow if you want to, but as I say, I just want a knot on this one. I don't want it to be lots of fancy bows. And then I'm just going to trim to the length I want. Actually, 16 inches is just perfect. Remind me next time. And, I need to measure ribbon. There we go. Okay. And then this is going to go onto our piece of green cardstock. Just like this. Now, before I glue that on, I just want to show you what I did next. I wanted to have a sentiment in this little corner. And often when I make these cards, I'll put the sentiment over here, but because I wanted to be able to see this little elf giving the snowman a gift, I decided I wanted to put the sentiment here. And from the spirited snowman, I chose this little winter cheer and these little snowflakes. And what I did was I used the white embossing powder and I just went over the whole corner. I made sure that I would be able to see where it said winter cheer. And then these I just put randomly sort of over the corner to cover up just a little bit of the card. And first I just used my embossing buddy, tapped a little bit, went over the whole card, because once you've been touching the card you get oils from your finger a little bit, and sometimes you get sort of little smears in the embossing powder. And then I used my Versamark and I stamped my stamp. I put my embossing powder on, and if there was some powder there that I didn't want, I just use an old makeup brush and I just sort of dust away any little bits that are in the wrong place before I turn the embossing machine on, or the heat gun. Okay, so that's going to be the front of our card. And what I want to do on here is I want to put tear and tape across the top and then some liquid glue underneath. So the tear and tape goes really well across this piece. And I'm going to put one more piece and just catch the bottom of the ribbon so that the ribbon doesn't move a lot. Just check that it's straight there. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's not straight on the back. Nobody's going to see the back. Okay, so I got my 2 rows of tear and tape, and then I'm just going to use my wet glue. And as I say, I like tear and tape just because I want to catch that ribbon in it as well. And also, tear and tape's really easy to use. I use it on lots of projects. Ooh, can't get my finger on that one. It's a bit wet with glue. It's really easy to use, she says, not being able to take it off. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to measure it up here. I know there's going to be a little bit top and bottom and a smidge at the left and the right. There we are. And I think this paper has enough of a pattern on it that you don't need anything else on the front. So on this side, I'm going to use the little piece that we cut off, and I'm just going to sort of measure it up and see which bits of it I want on. I want this little snowman and just this little elf at the side. So you can use tear and tape again here if you want to. I'm just putting my liquid glue on so that I can actually move it about a little bit and then I know I've got it in the right place. I don't want to put this snowman on that hasn't got a head, so I think that looks about right. There we are. And then just use your paper snips and trim the end off. Careful not to cut the card. Like that. I'm not saving that little piece. Then we'll put some glue on the back. Oops. No, I don't need the ribbon, thank you. Make sure it's facing the right way. We'll pop that into the middle there. Throw those pieces of ribbon away. Yeah. There we go. So that's pretty on the inside too when you open it. It's just a pretty little scene on there. But if you didn't want to do that, you could use a little piece of card. You could use the back of the DSP. You could use the 1/2 inch that we cut off. This is the 1/2 inch that I cut off this piece, and it's just sort of the right size for on here. You can turn it over so that you've got the contrast, like that, but it is just the right size. So another way to use little scraps and just make it look pretty. And there we go, a nice little curtain fold card that's really simple to make, and the DSP does all the work for you. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. I'll be back again later this week with another card using the DSP from Santa's workshop, and I look forward to seeing you all then. Bye everyone.